Ready to find your inner gourmet? Today we're going to show you a simple recipe with a couple of ingredients that might surprise you. Chef Heidi Lang is the owner of the Fig Cooking School and is back with us today. I gotta tell you, Chef Heidi, we love brunch for lunch here on Connecticut Style, so this is gonna be awesome. I see pancakes with a twist.
Indeed. Often when we make pancakes, we use just buttermilk or traditionally sour cream, but today we're gonna use Creme Fraiche because it's a little bit sweeter, has a little more fat in it, so it actually makes them creamy.
I love that.
So.
Typically I use Bisquick and water,
yeah.
So this is a real treat for me.
Guess what, Teresa? This would actually not take you much more time. In the time that you open the box and take the flour out and add the water, we're just going to do it the old-fashioned way.
Great. Tell me quick about the Fig Cooking School.
Well, Fig was born out of the idea that everyone can be a gourmet chef. And so what we try to do is take very vibrant ingredients and interesting ingredients and combine them in ways that people don't expect and are actually quite simple. So I don't expect anyone to spend 3 days in the kitchen making one meal. Those days are over. No one has time for that. Great. So all of our dishes are things that you can do in a short amount of time. We also use only organic, fresh ingredients whenever possible. And the key is to have fun in the kitchen.
Oh, I like the sound of that. Let's get started then.
Okay. So first we're going to mix our wet ingredients, and that's going to be milk. So we'll pour the milk in here.
About how much milk?
A cup of milk.
Okay.
And we've got some eggs, and we're just going to quickly mix those up. That goes right in there.
Okay.
And the creme fraiche, which is over here.
Which is a little creamier than a sour cream, would you say?
We're going to throw the creme fraiche in here. And that was about a half a cup of creme fraiche. A little vanilla. And another secret ingredient in here is a little lemon zest. It adds a little contrast, okay? So we've got that, and we'll put in a little lemon zest, and then I'm going to ask you to mix this together.
I can handle that. Do we need to turn the pan on or not yet?
Not yet. Okay. So then we're going to mix this.
I'll let you do the cooking.
And, and you're going to take a whisk, okay?
I can do that.
And mix that together. And in the meantime, we're also going to take the dry ingredients. So we have 1.5 cups of flour. And we're going to add the other important ingredients to this, which is the baking soda and the baking powder. Without that, those pancakes that we have over here won't be fluffy.
Now, why do we have to separate the wet and the dry ingredients?
Well, here's the thing. If you're going to make these the night before, you've got to make sure that you don't add the wet ingredients because it makes the baking powder is activated.
Oh, okay.
Once the baking powder is activated, you've got about, I don't know, a little while, an hour or so to make them. Otherwise, they'll flat. So that's why I say if you want to make these in the morning for your family, just separate the two ingredients.
Easy enough.
And if I put this all into the bowls together, we would just have a big clump. We don't want that, okay? All right, and we're going to add also, another thing we often do in our classes, add a little bit of sea salt, not much, that contrasts the sweetness. One last thing we're adding is so we've got sugar, baking powder, baking soda, and 3 tablespoons of sugar, the baking soda, baking powder, and the flour. Okay, so, Teresa, that was perfect.
Thank you.
We're just going to mix this together. And now we'll put it on the oven.
Okay.
And we want this on sort of high to get it started. Mix this together. Okay, now you want to dump that right in?
Sure I do.
Excellent. See, Teresa's going to be able to say at the end of the day, she can make what sound like fancy pancakes.
Who needs Bisquick?
Exactly. But really, how long did that take us to do?
Right.
Now, the key, whenever you're making a batter, is not to overmix. So if it seems like there's some clumps in here, that's okay. That will even itself out while it's cooking. If you overmix it, the gluten seems to be released, and then you'll have a tougher
science behind this, Heidi.
There's always chemistry when involved with cooking. Okay, so you see, there we have a nice smooth ingredient. We're going to take a little butter and put it in our pan.
Now, when you make pancakes, do you do this little silver dollar ones, or do you like bigger ones?
It all depends on what you like.
Okay.
So today we won't make huge ones because they take longer to cook. And the key here is that you have a nice hot pan. Okay. So our pan is nice and hot.
This I find is the tricky part cooking these because I always tend to flip it when it's not completely done.
Well, and then what happens, right?
I
They
still
run.
Eat it,
Yeah, you know what you do? You just sort of mix it together, push it together, and when you turn it over, and then when you turn it over, it all looks fine. Yes. The pancakes are very forgiving. If one side burns, just serve it on the other side. So we're going to take some, and we're not going to make them really big because we're also going to be adding
some bananas. Okay. Now, did you have to treat the bananas, or they're just cut up bananas?
They are just plain old-fashioned bananas. And you know what? This is a really good this is too high. It's really good to use bananas that are actually bruised.
Okay. They're a little sweeter?
Yeah, well, they're sweeter, and also they're going to get cooked anyway, so they're going to get mushy. Okay. So when if your family doesn't like that bruised, look, get rid of them this way. That's also a great way to make banana bread. Okay.
So we have about a minute. When do we know to flip these guys?
Well, that's a great question. I'm going to put some of these on here. You know when they start bubbling. You ever see like if they start getting these little bubbles? That's from the baking soda, and that's how you know to switch them. If you flip them any sooner, what happens, Teresa?
They fall apart.
They fall apart, exactly. So we don't want that. So we're going to wait, and then by the end of the show, you're going to have great pancakes.
Terrific.
And then, of course, it's very important that you serve them with really good syrup.
And I like them syrup heated up a little bit.
Yeah, sure. That's a great idea. Sure. And also, we serve them with strawberries or whatever fresh vegetable fruits that you like.
Sounds
anytime you like.
All right. Well, we're out of time, Heidi. We'll have the recipe on WTNH.com, and we're going to taste these at the end of the show.
Excellent.
All right. Sounds good.
Thank you, Teresa.
Sure. Up next, Chris Lemon talks about his new one-man show that pays tribute to his father when Connecticut Style returns. Don't go anywhere.
Oh, wow.